I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch network. I want to show you yet another example of how large media networks are just so completely failing our democracy. Here, let's just pull up this post from 60 Minutes, which is promoting their exclusive interview, get this, with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And this is how they're promoting it. This is a real tweet by 60 Minutes. They go, Georgia Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, nicknamed MTG, isn't afraid to share her opinions no matter how intense and in your face they are. She sits down with Lesley Stahl this Sunday on 60 Minutes, 60minutes.com. Now, it's not that Marjorie Taylor Greene's opinions are intense or in your face. It's that they're traitorous. It's that they're fascist. It's that she is so unfit to serve in the position that she has. It's that she's called for Nancy Pelosi to be executed. She just randomly starts cursing out President Biden and calls for President Biden to be impeached. She spreads election disinformation. She encourages the January 6th insurrectionists. And there you are, Lesley Stahl from 60 Minutes walking the halls of the Capitol building with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, this Marjorie Taylor Greene who said this.
Joe Biden, you're not a president. You're a piece of shit.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene, who said that Nancy Pelosi should be executed for treason. Play this clip.
She's a traitor to our country. She's guilty of treason.
That's right.
She took an oath to protect American citizens and uphold our laws. And she gives aid and comfort to our enemies who illegally invade our land. That's what treason is.
Exactly.
And by our law, representatives and senators can be kicked out and no longer serve in our government. And it's a crime punishable by death, is what treason is. Nancy Pelosi is guilty of treason, and we want her out of our government. She's held her seat of power for 32 years. She's 78 years old. She is dying in Congress. We are fed up with these corrupt politicians that hang on to their power just to make themselves rich.
And I could go on and show you old clips of Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about Jewish space lasers, or I could show you Marjorie Taylor Greene harassing the survivors of school shootings. We can go on and on, but let's just show you some of the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene has said in the past 24 to 48 hours, right as 60 Minutes is making that post where they have Lesley Stahl in the kitchen with Marjorie Taylor Greene on this puff piece saying, we're going to explore what MTG has to say. And look, they're walking around in a park with MTG. Just so utterly disgusting. So let's just show you what Marjorie Taylor Greene has said this week. That's what we'll focus on. Here we have Marjorie Taylor Greene saying in this tweet, she goes, when it comes to being president of the United States, there's no other man for the job for a time such as this. We will elect President Trump a third time in 2024. This says Donald Trump was criminally indicted by the grand jury in Manhattan. And she says for the third time, spreading election disinformation. But I guess that's just an aggressive opinion that 60 Minutes wants to promote. How about this post by Marjorie Taylor Greene? Again, in the past 24 hours, our side chants lock her up and their side is going to get a mugshot based on a witch hunt. It's time to change that. Gloves are off. Here's her post regarding Stormy Daniels. Democrats' policies are so bad that they are relying on their heroine, who is too old and disgusting to make money as a porn star now, so she's grifting off her lies about Trump. Despite the fact that this is just a completely disgusting and false statement in every single respect. And I think Stormy Daniels is actually a very beautiful person who's had a lot of courage to come forward with what's taken place and with all the death threats that she receives. Marjorie Taylor Greene is going into the Trump lie that he never had sex with Stormy Daniels, that Donald Trump wasn't the one who paid hush money payments to the porn star that Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking about. Here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene says in the next post, right? And you remember a few weeks back when Marjorie Taylor Greene called for civil war. She called for a national divorce over and over again. Well, here's what she says again. In the past 24 hours, Marjorie Taylor Greene goes, Democrats want civil war. They want to push us into reacting so they can use their weaponized government to lock us all up. They know Trump did not break the law. They know more than anyone because they've been trying for years to find a way to put him in jail, and they can't. But now they have a complete fool that is deranged enough to try because he's backed by Soros, and Soros wants war to destabilize America and gain full control. Of course, she's very anti-Semitic. She's the Jewish space laser conspiracy person. That's, her conspiracy theory that she puts out there. George Soros has absolutely nothing to do with this at all, and it is despicable and an anti-Semitic dog whistle to keep saying George Soros' name. Here, Marjorie Taylor Greene says she's going to be in New York on Tuesday to be there as Donald Trump is arraigned. She goes, "I'm going to New York on Tuesday. We must protest the unconstitutional witch hunt." Here she just posts a meme, witch hunt. And then she goes, "New York, put your MAGA hats on. Under our constitutional rights, we will support President Trump and protest tyrants. I will see you on Tuesday." And then she goes, "RT, if you still have real Donald Trump's back." Here she praises Speaker McCarthy for releasing the surveillance footage from the Capitol building on January 6th without even telling the Capitol security guards, without telling the Capitol police that they were going to do that, imperiling the security of the other members of Congress, senators, members of the House of Representatives, and not giving it to anyone else in the media. And Marjorie Taylor Greene calling to impeach Biden. Like, I could go on and on and on, but you get the point. By the way, these were all past 24, 48 hours. And again, showing you this post from 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes take is, let's do a profile and a puff piece on Marjorie Taylor Greene and try to normalize this. Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, nicknamed MTG, isn't afraid to share her opinions, no matter how intense and in your face they are. No matter how intense, I don't care if someone's opinions are intense, great. If someone's opinions are in my face, I don't really know what that means, but great, their opinions are in my face. Her views are fascist. Her views are deranged conspiracy theories. Her views spread COVID disinformation. Her views spread hate. Her views try to treat individuals like they're cockroaches and animals, and that needs to be called out. So I don't know what the heck this 60 Minutes thing is, but look, it's not too dissimilar from some of the other major media networks out there that we've talked about. We've reported here on that wacko Waco rally where Donald Trump gave this event in front of a very small crowd in Waco, Texas, on the 30th anniversary of the siege of Waco, where there was a religious cult that had stockpiled unlawful weapons, and they had killed 30 years ago 4 ATF agents, which led to a standoff where a number of members of this religious cult, by the way, whose founder was an actual pedophile, where members of that cult were killed, which was viewed as the inspiration for Timothy McVeigh in his terrorist attack in the Oklahoma City bombing. That's where Donald Trump held his speech, held his rally, essentially calling people to arms against the government and trying to inspire a second insurrection. But here's what the Associated Press said about it. Mind you, Associated Press, right? 60 Minutes is CBS. Associated Press, they're supposed to be like a normal, objective media outlet. But here's what they said. Trump facing potential indictment holds defiant Waco rally. And it goes on to say, Waco, Texas, facing a potential indictment, Donald Trump took a defiant stance at a rally Saturday in Waco, disparaging the prosecutors investigating him and predicting his vindication as he rallied supporters in a city made famous by deadly resistance against law enforcement. What? It's like you're romanticizing that. Here's what the New York Times had to say. This is dated March 21, 2023, from the New York Times. Donald J. Trump, the former primetime reality TV star, known for his love of big stages and vast crowds, has embraced a more humbling and traditional style on the campaign trail in recent months. And he talks about his intimate events. Really? A more humbling and traditional style on the campaign trail? His rallies are the most unhinged things that exist. And again, you have large media networks that are just normalizing this utterly despicable behavior. So going back, though, to the 60 Minutes handle, just so you can see what some of the responses are to this, because I think a lot of these responses are appropriate, just so you see how people feel. Rachel Vindman goes, "This is disgusting." Then another response is, "They need to put a disclaimer before they air that interview stating that she is an election denier. Of course, that's among other things." You then have someone say, "That woman is a manifest threat to American democracy, which even a cursory look at her record makes plain. It is appalling that you are doing this." Ricky DeVilla says, "You just turned into a propaganda network and lost all credibility for doing this. Never watching again." And Ian Basin says, "This is a choice 60 Minutes made. They didn't have to. They chose to, and it is a terrible, terrible choice." I could go on to, read you others. This is from Dave Zirin, who goes, "60 Minutes lost its bite a long while ago, but infomercials for fascist is a bridge too far." This is incredibly irresponsible. Incredibly irresponsible. But why are they doing it? Why are they doing it? It is because they are built to both sides the issues. And they basically treat, well, you've got Democrats on the one hand, you've got Republicans on the other hand. These are just two political parties. There's extremists on both sides, and you've got progressives and these liberals, and then you've got conservatives, and you got people who are more conservative. And this is just a political thing. And it really isn't. It really isn't. We should all come together and say things like global pandemics need to be taken seriously. We should all come together and say we support free and fair elections. We should all come together and say we do not support election deniers. We should all come together and say we do not support the January 6th insurrectionists. We should all come together and look at January 6th and say that is bad. We should all come together and look at QAnon and the Donald Trump cult and all of Donald Trump's crimes and say objectively that is bad conduct. That is criminal conduct. It's not a political thing to say that Donald Trump's election interference, Donald Trump's attempts to overthrow our democracy, Donald Trump's obstruction of justice, his theft of government records, his falsification of business records, his failure to pay taxes. It's not a political thing to look at that and go, that is bad conduct. And the Democrats aren't politicizing it. If you support law and order, those things are bad. The Republicans are politicizing that by saying, oh, by you going after our cult hero and our savior and whatever the heck they call him in their weird cult of theirs, they're the ones politicizing these issues. They're the ones who are creating committees in the House of Representatives that they are calling the weaponization committees, which are actually trying to obstruct justice at local and state prosecutions. That is what is going on here. And when 60 Minutes and AP and New York Times normalize this behavior, it is deeply, deeply, deeply problematic, and in many ways could be even viewed as more dangerous than the disinformation Fox spews, because these outlets like AP, like 60 Minutes, they have a broader sense that they are trying to tell the truth, when in reality, they're just doing the exact opposite here, under the veneer of trying to be objective. It is utterly irresponsible. And the way they're promoting it is frankly sickening. But look, there's a reason why the Midas Touch network is growing at the pace it is. It's because we're just calling traitors traitors. We're calling fascists fascists. We're not gaslighting our viewers like these large media networks do. We're just calling it and saying it like it is. I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your incredible support. So please hit subscribe right now. Also, check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Also, wherever you get your audio podcast, search for us. Just search Midas Touch Podcast, search Legal AF Podcast, search Political Beatdown. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas. Thank you so much for watching. Hit subscribe.
Love this video? Then you'll love the Midas Touch podcast. Listen as my brothers and I break down the latest news and chat with top political leaders on the fastest growing pro-democracy podcast in the world. New episodes drop every Tuesday and Friday. Add the Midas Touch podcast right now wherever you listen to your podcasts.